1 year from now, you'll wake up in the same world. The sun will rise. People will go to work. Cars will fill the streets. Life will continue. But one thing will be completely different. You. The only question is, will you become someone you're proud of or someone you barely recognize? Close your eyes for a second. Imagine meeting your future self. Not 5 years from now. Not 10. Just 1 year. Would that person smile at you or quietly ask, "Why did you waste another year?" Because here's a truth that most people never realize. Your future isn't being built tomorrow. It's being built today, right now, with every decision you make, every excuse you accept, every promise you break, every difficult thing you avoid. Most people think success arrives like lightning. One lucky opportunity, one big breakthrough, one magical moment. But that's a lie. Success is invisible until one day it isn't. Nobody sees the hundreds of mornings someone woke up before sunrise. Nobody notices the nights they kept working after everyone else had given up. Nobody applauds the small decisions. They only celebrate the final result. And that's exactly why so many people never reach it. They fall in love with the destination, but refuse to respect the journey. Today isn't another motivational speech. I'm not here to tell you that life is easy, because it isn't. I'm here to show you something much more valuable. The invisible habits, the silent decisions, and the hidden mindset that quietly separates ordinary people from those who completely transform their lives. So don't just watch this video. Challenge yourself, because by the end, you may never look at your life the same way again. Let's begin. Lesson 1: the invisible price you pay every single day. Every morning, life gives you 2 invisible doors. They look almost identical. The first door is comfortable. Sleep a little longer. Watch one more video. Delay the hard work. Tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. The second door feels uncomfortable. Wake up. Move your body. Learn something new. Do the difficult thing first. Here's what's dangerous. Neither door changes your life today. That's why most people choose comfort. Because the consequences are invisible. Skip one workout. Nothing happens. Waste one afternoon. Nothing happens. Ignore one opportunity. Nothing happens. But repeat those choices for 365 days. And suddenly, you're living a life you never wanted. Now imagine something different. Imagine improving by just 1% every day. One new page. One difficult conversation. One extra hour learning. One promise kept. At first, nobody notices. Not even you. But compound enough small victories, and eventually, people call you lucky. Luck has very little to do with it. Consistency does. Think about a sculptor. He doesn't hit the stone once and suddenly create a masterpiece. He strikes it again and again and again. Eventually, everyone admires the sculpture. Nobody remembers the thousands of tiny strikes that created it. Your life works the same way. The person you'll become isn't decided by one massive decision. It's decided by thousands of tiny ones. Every single day. Several years ago, 2 friends graduated together. Same age, same city, same dreams. One decided to spend 30 minutes every day learning a valuable skill. The other decided 30 minutes wasn't enough to matter. After 1 year, almost no difference. After 3 years, one received better opportunities. After 5 years, one was leading meetings, building businesses, traveling, growing. The other kept asking the same question. How did he get so far ahead? He didn't. He simply never stopped moving. That's the difference. Success rarely happens suddenly. It happens silently. The biggest mistake people make is believing that small choices don't matter. They matter more than the big ones, because big moments are usually created by small habits. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself one question. What kind of person did today's decisions create? because tomorrow you'll answer that question again, and the day after that. Eventually, those answers become your identity. But even if you understand this, there's another invisible enemy, far more dangerous than laziness. It steals your attention. It destroys your focus. And the worst part, most people willingly carry it in their pocket, your phone. And that's where our next lesson begins. Lesson 2: your biggest enemy doesn't live outside. It lives inside your mind. Let me ask you something. Have you ever planned to change your life, only to wake up the next morning and do absolutely nothing? You weren't lazy. You weren't weak. You genuinely wanted to change. So, what happened? The answer might surprise you. It wasn't your circumstances. It wasn't your family. It wasn't your lack of money. It was a conversation. A conversation nobody else could hear. The one happening inside your own mind. Every single day, your brain tells you stories. You can start tomorrow. You're too tired. You're not ready. What if you fail? What will people think? At first, these thoughts sound harmless, but over time, they become your identity. You stop questioning them. You start believing them. And eventually, you build your entire life around excuses that were never true. Think about this. If a stranger followed you around every day, constantly saying, "You can't," "Don't try," "You'll embarrass yourself," "You'll fail," would you keep that person in your life? Of course not. Then why do you tolerate that voice inside your own head? Because you've heard it for so long. It sounds like the truth, but it isn't. It's fear wearing the mask of logic. A young man once dreamed of becoming a public speaker. Every night, he imagined himself standing in front of thousands of people. But every morning, he found another excuse. "I'll start after I become more confident." Months passed, then years. One afternoon, he met an old teacher. The teacher asked him one question. "When exactly are you planning to become confident?" The young man smiled. "When I start speaking." The teacher shook his head. "No, you become confident because you start speaking." That sentence changed his life forever. Confidence wasn't the starting point. It was the reward for action. Most people wait. Successful people practice. That's the difference. Lesson 3. Comfort is quietly stealing your future. Comfort feels safe. That's why it's dangerous. Imagine sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving, but you're going nowhere. That's exactly what comfort does. It gives you the feeling of progress, without any actual progress. Watching motivational videos feels productive. Planning your goals feels productive. Buying another notebook feels productive. Researching for hours feels productive. But none of those things change your life. Action does. The uncomfortable phone call, the first business attempt, the first YouTube upload, the first English conversation, the first gym session. That's where change begins. Growth has never lived inside comfort. Never. Every successful person you've ever admired had to walk through uncertainty. Every single one. Not because they enjoyed discomfort, but because they understood something most people never learn. Comfort protects today's happiness. Discomfort creates tomorrow's freedom. Imagine climbing a mountain. The first few steps feel exciting. Then, your legs begin to burn. Your breathing becomes heavy. You start wondering if it's worth continuing. Now imagine turning around, walking back down. Everything becomes easier, instantly. No pain, no struggle, no fear. But here's the catch. The view never changes. The same happens in life. The moment you stop climbing, you also stop growing. And here's something even more dangerous. Sometimes, the biggest prison has no walls. Lesson for the prison you built without realizing. Most prisons are made of steel. Yours is made of habits. Wake up, grab your phone, check notifications, scroll, eat, work, complain, watch videos, sleep, repeat, repeat, repeat. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. One day, someone asks, "So, what happened to your dreams?" And suddenly, you don't have an answer, because nothing dramatic happened. Life simply became automatic. That's how dreams disappear. Not through tragedy, through routine. The scary part, most people don't even realize they're trapped, because everyone around them is living exactly the same way. Average becomes normal. Normal becomes comfortable. Comfort becomes permanent, until one day, life forces change upon them. But here's the truth. You don't have to wait for life to shake you awake. You can wake yourself. Today. Right now. Not because someone else believes in you, but because your future deserves better than your past. Emotional story. Imagine meeting your 8-year-old self. The child who believed anything was possible. The child who dreamed without limits. Now imagine looking into those innocent eyes. Would that child be proud of the person you've become? Or would they quietly ask, "What happened to us?" That question hurts, because deep down, you already know the answer. But here's the beautiful part. Your story isn't finished. You're still holding the pen. Every decision from this moment forward writes the next chapter. Not yesterday, not last year, today. Most people believe transformation begins with motivation. It doesn't. It begins with awareness. The moment you finally see the invisible chains, you become capable of breaking them. But awareness alone isn't enough, because there is one force, stronger than talent, more powerful than intelligence, and capable of changing the direction of an ordinary life forever. And that's exactly where our next lesson begins. Lesson 5: Discipline is remembering what you want most. Motivation feels incredible. For a moment, it makes you believe that tomorrow will be different. You watch an inspiring video. You write down your goals. You promise yourself, "This time I'll change." But then morning arrives, the alarm rings, and suddenly, your dreams begin negotiating with your comfort. Just 5 more minutes. I'll start on Monday. One missed day won't matter. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. The life you dream about will never be built by motivation, because motivation is a visitor. It comes, it leaves. Sometimes it disappears for weeks. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It reminds you what you said you wanted. Think about the captain of a ship. When a storm arrives, he doesn't ask the ocean to become calm. He adjusts the sails. Your emotions are the storm. Discipline is the sail. Without it, you'll spend your entire life drifting wherever your feelings decide to take you. Imagine 2 runners standing at the starting line. The first runner says, "I'll run when I feel motivated." The second quietly ties his shoes. The race begins. It starts raining. The wind becomes stronger. The first runner walks home. The second keeps moving. Slowly, step after step. Hours later, people only remember one name. Not because he was faster, because he refused to stop. Success usually belongs to the last person still walking. But discipline alone isn't enough, because many people work hard, yet still remain stuck. Why? Because they're climbing the wrong mountain. Lesson 6: Stop chasing success. Build someone worth following. Most people wake up asking, "How can I become successful?" Almost nobody asks, "Who do I need to become?" And that's the real question. Because success is a shadow, identity is the person creating it. Imagine trying to grow an apple tree. Would you tape apples onto dead branches? Of course not. You strengthen the roots. The fruit appears naturally. Your habits are the roots. Your identity is the tree. Success is simply the fruit. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm lazy, I'm unlucky, I'm not disciplined," your brain starts collecting evidence to prove you right. But imagine saying something different. "I'm becoming someone who finishes what he starts. I'm becoming someone who keeps promises to himself." Notice the difference. You're no longer chasing results. You're building identity. And identity changes everything. Real life analogy. A sculptor doesn't begin with a masterpiece. He begins with a block of stone. Every strike removes something unnecessary. Your life works the same way. You're not trying to become someone new. You're removing the habits, the fears, the excuses that have been hiding the real version of you all along. But there's another invisible force working against you, a force that steals your attention, your ambition, and your ability to enjoy simple things. Most people don't even realize they're addicted to it. Lesson 7, the modern addiction nobody talks about. Imagine waking up tomorrow and your phone has disappeared. No notifications, no endless scrolling, no videos, no social media. How uncomfortable would you feel? If that question makes you nervous, this lesson is for you. Years ago, people had to search for entertainment. Today, entertainment searches for you. Every vibration, every notification, every endless scroll promises a tiny reward. Your brain loves rewards. The problem, it stops working for meaningful rewards. Reading a book suddenly feels boring. Learning a skill feels slow. Building a business feels difficult. Not because those things changed, because your brain became addicted to instant pleasure. Every swipe teaches your mind, don't wait. Take the easy reward. But life doesn't reward people who chase easy pleasure. It rewards people who master delayed gratification, the ability to work today for a reward that may not arrive for months. That's a superpower in today's world. Picture a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't dig them up every morning asking, "Why haven't you grown?" He waters them, protects them, waits, trusts the process. Imagine if we treated our dreams the same way. Instead of demanding instant success, we focused on daily progress. Most people quit because they expect harvest after planting the seed yesterday. Which brings us to perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about success. People think confidence comes first. It doesn't. Lesson 8, action creates confidence, not the other way around. How many opportunities have you missed? Waiting to feel ready? The perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence. Let me tell you something. Those things rarely arrive first. Confidence isn't something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, action by action, failure by failure. Think about riding a bicycle. Nobody becomes confident before getting on the bike. They become confident after falling, getting up, trying again. Life follows exactly the same rule. You don't become confident before speaking English. You become confident because you speak. You don't become confident before starting a business. You become confident because you survive the difficult days. You don't become confident before changing your life. You become confident because you refuse to stop changing it. Every action sends your brain one powerful message. Maybe I can do this. Repeat that enough times, and doubt slowly loses its voice. One day, people will look at you and say, "You're so confident." They'll never see the fear you faced, the nights you doubted yourself, the mornings you wanted to quit. They'll only see the finished chapter, never the pages you had to write alone. And that leads us to the next lesson. Because even if you master discipline, even if you build confidence, one dangerous habit can quietly destroy everything you've built. Lesson 9, comparison is quietly robbing you of your potential. Imagine running the most important race of your life. The finish line is right in front of you, but instead of looking ahead, you keep turning your head, watching everyone else. One runner is faster, another looks stronger. Someone else seems to have started miles ahead. You become frustrated. You slow down, not because you were tired, but because you forgot something. It was never your race against them. It was always your race against yesterday's version of yourself. Today, social media has made comparison effortless. In less than 60 seconds, you can watch someone's luxury car, another person's perfect relationship, someone else's expensive vacation, a millionaire celebrating success, an athlete showing the perfect body, a creator announcing 1 million subscribers. And suddenly, the life you were grateful for 5 minutes ago feels ordinary. But here's what you never see. You don't see the anxiety, the failures, the lonely nights, the years of rejection, the sacrifices hidden behind a 30-second highlight. Life isn't fair because everyone starts from a different place, but life gives everyone the same opportunity to become a little better than yesterday. Stop measuring your beginning against someone else's chapter 20. Imagine 2 trees planted on the same day. One grows quickly, the other grows slowly. If the slower tree spends all its energy wishing it looked like the first, it stops growing. Nature never compares. The oak doesn't try to become bamboo. The sunflower doesn't try to become a rose. They simply become the best version of what they were created to be. Why do humans forget that? Comparison steals confidence. But there's another habit, even more dangerous. Waiting. Lesson 10. The perfect time never arrives. Most people are waiting until they have more money, more confidence, more knowledge, more support, more time. But life has a strange sense of humor. The moment you finally have one thing, you'll invent another excuse. Because waiting isn't a strategy. It's fear disguised as preparation. Think back to all the things you promised yourself. I'll start next month. I'll join the gym after the holidays. I'll launch my business next year. I'll create my YouTube channel when everything is ready. Ready? Ready for what? Life has never been ready. It never will be. Every successful person you've ever admired started before they felt prepared. Not because they were fearless, because they understood something important. Action creates clarity. Waiting creates regret. A man spent 15 years planning the perfect restaurant. Every detail, every chair, every recipe, every color. Across the street, another man opened a tiny cafe with almost nothing. It wasn't perfect, but he improved every month. 5 years later, one owned a thriving business. The other still had a notebook full of perfect plans. Ideas don't change lives. Execution does. And speaking of execution, there's one promise almost everyone breaks. Not to others, to themselves. Lesson 11. Every broken promise changes your identity. Imagine your best friend makes you a promise. I'll always show up. But every single time, he cancels. Eventually, you stop believing him. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. How many promises have you broken? To yourself? I'll wake up early. I'll stop procrastinating. I'll start tomorrow. I'll never quit again. And then, nothing. Every time you break a promise to yourself, your brain quietly loses trust in you. That's why confidence disappears. Not because you're incapable, because you've taught yourself. Your own words don't matter. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine making one small promise. I'll read for 10 minutes. And actually doing it. Tomorrow, you do it again. A week later, again. Something begins to change. Not your circumstances, your identity. Because every kept promise tells your brain, I'm someone who follows through. That's how self-respect is built. Not by thinking, by proving. But self-respect alone isn't enough. Because life will eventually test you. Hard. Lesson 12. Storms don't build character. They reveal it. Everyone looks disciplined. When life is easy, it's simple to stay positive when everything is going well. But real character appears during chaos, when your plans fail, when money becomes tight, when people leave, when nobody believes in you, when progress disappears. That's when life asks one question. Who are you? Without easy circumstances. Most people quit here, not because they're weak, because nobody prepared them for the storm. But every mountain climber knows The strongest winds exist near the summit. Difficulty isn't proof you're going the wrong way. Sometimes it's proof you're getting closer. Imagine an old lighthouse standing beside the ocean. For decades, storm after storm, wave after wave, the lighthouse remained standing. Not because the storm stopped, because its foundation was stronger than the waves. Become that lighthouse. Don't pray for an easier life. Build a stronger foundation. One habit, one decision, one discipline day at a time. One day, people will admire your strength. They'll call you resilient. They'll wonder how you stayed calm while everything around you was falling apart. They'll never realize your strength wasn't built in peaceful moments. It was forged inside the storms you refused to run from. But there is one final truth, the lesson that ties everything together. It isn't about discipline. It isn't about confidence. It isn't about talent. It's about the story you choose to believe about yourself. Lesson 13. One day, you'll meet the person you could have become. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine it's 10 years from today. You're walking through a quiet street at sunset. The air is calm. The world feels strangely silent. Then, you notice someone standing in the distance. They look familiar. As you walk closer, your heart starts beating faster because that person looks exactly like you. Same face, same voice, same eyes, but something is different. They stand taller. They smile with confidence. There is peace in their eyes. You finally ask, "Who are you?" The stranger smiles and quietly says, "I'm the person you could have become if you hadn't given up." For a moment, neither of you speaks. Then you ask another question. "Are you happy?" They nod. "Yes, not because life was easy, but because I stopped waiting for life to change, and I decided to change myself." Now ask yourself, if you met that version of yourself today, would they be proud of the decisions you're making? Or would they look at you with disappointment, knowing how much potential you're wasting? Because one day, that meeting won't be imaginary anymore. It will become your reality. The only question is, which version of yourself will be waiting there? Lesson 14. Life is quietly counting every decision. Most people think life changes with one big moment. It doesn't. Life is quietly counting. Every morning you wake up early. It counts. Every time you choose discipline over comfort. It counts. Every chapter you read. Every workout you finish. Every difficult conversation you refuse to avoid. Every promise you keep to yourself. It all counts. The problem is, you don't receive immediate rewards. So people quit. Imagine planting an oak tree. The first year, almost nothing changes. The second year, still nothing impressive. But underground, the roots are spreading deeper every single day. Years later, that same tree survives storms that destroy everything around it. Why? Because strength was growing long before anyone could see it. Your life works exactly the same way. Never underestimate invisible progress. The final story. An old man was once asked, "What's the biggest regret of your life?" He smiled sadly and looked toward the horizon. Then he answered, "I kept believing I had more time. I thought next year I'd travel. Next year I'd forgive. Next year I'd build the business. Next year I'd become healthy. Next year I'd start living." He paused, then whispered, "But next year kept becoming next year, until there were no more years left." Silence filled the room, because everyone listening realized something. The old man wasn't talking only about himself. He was talking about all of us. The final message: listen carefully. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need another perfect notebook. You don't need another Monday. You don't need another New Year. You need one decision. One real decision. The decision that says, enough. Enough waiting. Enough excuses. Enough living below your potential. Enough watching other people build the life you dream about. Today, you draw a line. On one side, the old version of you, the one controlled by fear, comfort, procrastination, self-doubt. On the other side, a different person, someone who keeps promises, someone who chooses growth, someone who acts before they're ready, someone who earns respect, first from themselves, then from the world. Understand this. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody is going to hand you your dream. Nobody will wake up every morning and fight your battles. That's your responsibility. And that's the most beautiful part. Because if nobody can build your future, nobody can stop you from building it either. You have survived difficult days before. You have overcome pain before. You are stronger than you think. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the person you decide to become after this moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life becomes easier. Now, because one decision made today can completely change the direction of your next 10 years. Years from now, people may look at your success and call you lucky. They'll never see this moment, the quiet moment when you decided, I refuse to stay the same. And maybe that decision will become the most important decision of your entire life. If this message reached your heart, don't let it end here. Close this video. Stand up. Take one action, one phone call, one page, one workout, one application, one difficult conversation, one promise kept. Because your future isn't waiting for perfection. It's waiting for your first step. Remember, the person you'll become 1 year from today is being created by what you choose today. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Take care of your mind, protect your time, believe in your future, and I'll see you in the next journey.